This is Chapter 8, Test Review 2, Level 1 Problems. You're going to compare the number 1 with the vertex form. The vertex form you did earlier in the chapters, which is a times x minus h squared plus k, where h is going to be your x coordinate of vertex and k is your y coordinate of vertex. If you compare this equation number 1 with this form, you can rewrite this one as negative 1 over 4 x minus 0 squared plus 0, which means that there is no h and k, or in other words, h and k, which is your vertex, is 0 and 0. 1 over 4 in the front means that this is going to be a wider graph or a vertical shrink, or in other words we call it wider graph. For the negative in front of it, it means that it's going to be a reflected graph, so reflection over x-axis. When you graph this, you're going to make sure that you try from 0 0. The normal graph is go by 1 1 2 4, but in this one, if it's 1 1 2 4, which means that you're going to multiply the 1 1 by 1 comma 1 over 4, and then the 2 4 becomes 4 times 1 over 4, which is 2 comma 1. So in this case, your pattern is going to be 1 4 and 2 1, 1/4 and 2 1, 1/4 and 2 1. So 1/4 and 2 1, 1/4 and 2 1. Combining these, you're going to get the wider graph. Just remember, always the pattern for parent graph is 1 1 2 4. But if there is any number in the front, that is a, this a, it means that you're multiplying the y coordinate by this number. When you multiply 2 comma 4 by 1 over 4, the y coordinate, you got 2 1. So that's 2 1. Instead of 2 4 is 2 1. We already talked about that this is going to be the vertex, that is 0 0, which is already there. Axis of symmetry is this line, is the main line, y-axis, or is called x equals 0 line. Question number 2, you're going to graph this. On the bracket there should be 2. We forgot to write 2, which is a square on top. If you compare this with this function, the h is negative 2 and k is negative 4. Remember, for h you always use the opposite sign. So it means, so hk, which is a vertex, h always opposite sign, so negative 2 comma negative 4. For the transformation, h again is always the opposite sign, is going to go 2 left and 4 down. 2 left and 4 down. 2 left and 4 down. You're going to get the point of the vertex right here. Since there is a number that is a in the front is 1, so a is 1, we can compare that a here with this a is only 1. If it is 1, then you're going to follow the same pattern, that is 1 1 2 4 and 3 9. So once you have the vertex negative 2 comma negative 4, a is 1, it means this is going to follow the pattern, that is 1 1 2 4, 1 1 2 4, and then you're going to get a graph that is gx, which is 2 unit left and 4 unit down. Axis of symmetry is always the x coordinate of the axis. This is going to be negative 2. this y you're going to evaluate is also can be written as fx equals negative 2x squared plus 4x minus 7. Either it can ask you to evaluate y, or it can ask you to evaluate fx when you put x as negative 3. So and when you put x as negative 3, whenever we plug it in something for the variable, always put the bracket first, and inside the bracket you're going to use the value of that variable. So the value of that variable is x equals negative 3 that you're going to put in here, is also called y or called f of negative 3. So negative 2 times 9 minus 12 minus 7, you're going to get negative 18 minus 12 minus 7. Remember, when you take the square of a negative number, it becomes positive 9, and 9 times negative 2 is negative 18. So whenever you have f of negative 3, whenever you have f of negative 3 is all asking you to plug it x as negative 3 and evaluate the function or evaluate the y. Y or function is the same thing. When you combine these terms, negative 18 and negative 12 would be negative 30 minus 7 is going to be negative 37. That is, either you call it y, or you call the function value at negative 3 is negative 37. For number 4, the vertex is going to be all the way at the top. It's going to be 1, 4. So the vertex is 1, 4. Axis of symmetry is the y coordinate of the x coordinate of the vertex. So x coordinate is going to be x equals 1. Is going to give you the maximum value because the vertex is all the way at the top. It means the y equals 4. Y-intercept is this point where the graph is cutting at y-axis. This is going to be 0, 3. Domain is standard for all the parabola, that is negative infinity to infinity. Range is the height of the graph, is going to start from 4 and going down to negative infinity. Range is always writing from minimum to maximum value. So minimum to maximum, minimum value is negative infinity, maximum is going to be 4. Transformation, you just follow the path from a 0, 0. So from 0, 0 is 1 right and 4 up. So 1 right and 4 up. The equation for a parabola is going to be, and it's also a reflection, sorry, because it opens down, so it's going to be a reflection as well. So the third thing is going to be reflection. Now you're going to compare this graph with the standard equation is a times x minus h squared plus k. H is always x of 1, so it's h is 1. This is h comma k. So x minus 1 and plus 4. X minus 1 plus 4. Now you're going to figure out whether a is anything other than 1 or not. You can see that if it's 1, 1, it means it's following the pattern of the standard graph when a is 1. So either you can just write here in front of it 1, or you don't have to write anything. 1 is always, or this number is always figured out from this. If it is 1, 2, then this number would be 2. So for number 5, if I want to compare this with the vertex form, that is y equals a x minus h squared plus k, it means your hk is going to be 1 comma negative 4. Remember, h is always opposite. If it's -1, you're going to list the x as +1. A in the front is 3, which means that is going to be greater than 1 and greater than 0. Is going to get you a parabola that opens up. If the number that is greater than 1 is going to be a vertical stretch or a shrink. It's called also narrow or wider. If this number is greater than 1, it's called vertical stretch or is called narrow graph. For this number, always use the opposite of -1. If it's -1, it's going to move to the right side or the positive side. So right 1. And for -4, it's going to go down 4. To make a graph, you're going to first try and make a graph for your parent graph. Parent graph is always y equals x square. So y equals x square is always parent graph. When you make a parent graph, you follow the pattern that is going to be starting from 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 4. So 1, 1, 2, 4. On the other side as well, you're going to either mirror or follow the pattern that is 1, 1, 2, 4, parent graph. To make this graph, that is 3 times x minus 1 square minus 4, you're going to change this function, this graph, to 1 unit right and 4 unit down. You're going to have this as your h and k, which is going to be 1 comma -4. Instead of 0, 0, 1, 1, it's going to be 1 comma, you're going to multiply the y coordinate by 3. So this is going to be starting from this one. You're going to have a 1 times 1 is 3 and 4 times 3 is 12. Now you're going to have the pattern that is 1, 3, 1, 3, and the graph is going to look like this one. Is going to be a narrow graph that opens up. It is a narrow graph because of the 3 in the front, or is called vertical stretch. Again, the pattern is going to be 1, 1 for regular graph, but if there is a number in the front that is a, you multiply the y coordinate by whatever a is. And after that, you're going to have a new pattern that is, instead of 1, 1, it's going to be 1, 3, and instead of 2, 4, it's going to be 2, 12. For number 6, what is the y-intercept of this one? The y-intercept, whenever you set the x equals 0. So when you set x equals 0, that give you the y-intercept, which means the only number that is left is -7. So y-intercept is -7. Other way of finding the y-intercept, you compare this. A is -2, B is 4, C is -7. So y-intercept is the formula that is 0, C, or is 0, -7. For number 7, you're going to find the axis of symmetry, where A is 2, B is -8, C is 2. Formula is going to be -b over 2a. When you plug it in, always put the bracket around where you're going to plug in the numbers. So the numbers are going to be 8, -8, and 2. So that's 8 divided by 4 is 2. Axis of symmetry is 2. Once you find the axis of symmetry, you're going to use the x value into the given equation. Always put the bracket around the number that you're going to plug it in, where x is going to be 2. 2 times 4 minus 16 plus 2. 8 minus 16 plus 2. And that's going to be negative 8 plus 2. That's negative 6. Vertex is 2 comma negative 6. Y-intercept is always 0 comma c. So 0 comma c means 0 comma 2. You can also write the y-intercept just 2. Now if you look at a is 2, which is greater than 0. This 2 means it's greater than 1. It's going to opens up and it's going to be a vertical stretch graph. It's also called a narrower graph. To write down the parabola into the vertex form, make sure you write a in the front. Once you get a as 2, you just change this a as 2, x minus h plus k. So k is 6. So it's 2 times x minus 2 square minus 6. For the graph, you're going to make the vertex that is 2 comma negative 6. That is this point right here. To follow the pattern, now you're going to multiply the y coordinate by 2. Because the a is 2, you're going to multiply every time you have a different a. You multiply the pattern by that a. And now you're going to have the pattern that is over 1 up 2, over 2 up 8. So instead of 1 1, it's going to be 1 2, and you're going to get the graph that is going to be a narrow graph. It's a vertical stretch by the factor of 2. For number 8, the function written in the form of height and time. Negative 5t squared plus 20 represent the height h of a football t seconds after it is kicked into the air on the planet Venus. To sketch the graph, we need the vertex. It means that you need this formula, negative b over 2a. Always put the bracket where you're going to plug the value. Here, a is going to be negative 5, b is 20, and c is 0. When you plug it in, the b value is 20 over negative 5, and that's going to be negative 20 over negative 10. So x is 2. When you find the x as 2, which is your axis of symmetry, so AOS, x equals 2, you're going to find out the y. To find the y, you're going to plug it in into the given value. Negative 5, 2 squared plus 20 times 2, and that's going to be negative 20 plus 40. So the y coordinate is 20. Vertex is going to be 2 comma 20. So we can only assume that the 20 is, let's say, up there. It's going to be a following graph. And height of the graph is the y value, that is going to be, the height is going to be maximum value. Maximum value is the y coordinate of the vertex, that's going to be 20. Highest point is going to be 2 comma 20. The maximum height when it's reached, the time when it reached the maximum height is 2.